Hi, Facebook family and friends. I hope you are having an amazing Friday morning. It's almost lunchtime. And I am really excited to bring on a person who is a phenomenal woman. I met her about a year ago. She's running for state assembly in the 74th Assembly District, which is in San Diego. She's going to talk to you about her district in just a minute. But I can't believe we are 39 days out from November 3rd from Election Day. Ballots hit on October 5th, and we need to start making decisions. We need to start making decisions about the trajectory we want to see our state headed towards. And it's not going in the right direction, but we have the opportunity to change that in just 39 days, but really on October 5th when you receive your ballots at home. But before we really get into that, I want to bring on my great friend and fellow Republican, June Cutter. June, welcome. It's so good to see you. Thank you for taking the time out of what I know is a crazy campaign time. You know, we're 39 days out. Can you believe that? 39 days.
That's crazy. Well, thanks for having me. You know, the last time we did a live, it was on my end and we had a technical difficulty of saving it. So hopefully, fingers crossed, better luck today. But thanks for arranging this and inviting me to come on your Facebook page. I'm a huge fan of yours and excited to be chatting with you.
Oh, June, thank you. So, one of my commitments, is to help elect and help bring balance to Sacramento, because we have a one-party system that clearly is not working for constituents in your district or constituents in my district and really California as a whole. So part of my commitment is to help support other Republican candidates such as yourself, which is why I want to talk to you about your race, about give us a little bit about where your district is, who you're running against, and what it's been like over the past, or actually why you decided to run for state assembly.
Yeah, and I love that you're doing that because is there pushback on my sound or is that just on my end? I have
no
things.
No.
Is it okay?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. Well, I love that you're doing that because that's really part of my mission too. And I have spent the last several years trying to help fiscally conservative women get elected into office in California. So for you to be such an amazing team player and support other candidates running this cycle alongside you, I think that's amazing. My district is the 77th district, and it is in North Inland San Diego County. I like to call it the suburban heart of San Diego County because it really is filled with families and mostly with school-aged children, and we are all living side by side trying to do the best for our kids, especially this year in the craziest year ever. The district starts at the northernmost point in Rancho Santa Fe and Poway, and it covers the whole heart of San Diego down to Claremont and Tierra Santa. So it is a diverse district. Ethnically speaking, it's almost 30% Asian American, which I actually didn't know when I said I was going to run. So that's just a happy coincidence that I demographically fit the district as well. And we are just trying to make ends meet and see if our businesses can stay open, see if we can get some schools open. And it has been a challenge for the hardworking families of 77 and your district as well this year. And I'm ready to make a change. I'm running against Brian Mainshine, who is most infamously known for being the first legislator to switch parties while still sitting in office since 1981. And he switched from Republican to Democrat mere weeks after he won his election by 607 votes. And instead of sticking around and fighting for the greater good, he decided to play politics and switch over to the other side, arm in arm with the infamous Lorena Gonzalez, who is also a San Diego County representative. So when that happened, I thought, it was not okay. And what I wanted to do at that time, I was chairwoman of the PAC for California Women's Leadership Association, and I wanted to find a good fiscally conservative woman, Republican, to run against him and show him that that's not okay. I looked at the bench, and the bench was empty. So for some crazy reason, I decided to do it myself. And here we are.
Well, thank you so much for that. And thank you for that correction. You're running in the 77th. In the 74th, we have Diane Dixon, who's running, who's another amazing conservative woman running for office that we need to support. But June, for those people that are listening that, you know, they're from my district, or actually they're kind of from all over, what's your story? I mean, are you a California native? I know you're an attorney, you're a military spouse. I mean, what's June's story?
Well, I actually used to live in your neck of the woods when my husband was stationed in Point Mugu, but I am a California native. I was born and raised in Orange County. I'm the child of immigrants from Korea. So it is that American dream immigrant success story that my parents built a life here, and I was able to, thanks to their hard work, make great achievements myself. I went to UC Irvine for undergrad. I went to USC for my law school, and I also have a master's degree in business taxation. I've been practicing law for almost 2 decades now. And I also started my own small business a couple years back, doing professional home organizing, which is completely different from lawyering, but it was my passion, and I turned it into a business that I built from scratch. And right when all of this stuff was taken off and things were looking really good, our assemblyman had to switch parties. But I'm a lifelong Republican. I hold conservative values very dear to my heart. A free market economy, freedom and liberty are things that I believe are essential to American life, and I will fight for them. You know, the other day, somebody asked me, well, when you get to Sacramento, what are you going to do? And my answer was, I'm going to fight like hell. And I know that you'll be there to fight right alongside me, and we're gonna call them out on all the bad decisions that they're making.
Right. And also, you know, we're there to present solutions, right? I mean, we are your American success stories. We are women, we are mothers, we are small business owners, and there are not enough legislators in Sacramento that truly understand what it's like to be those things, what it's like to be a business owner, what it's like to be responsible for, you know, endorsing a check to yourself and putting your signature on the back, but also for signing the front of that check.
Right.
So why do you think that Republican balance is so vital to bring to Sacramento?
I think that being a person with real life, real world, private sector experience is something that we don't have, or we are lacking in Sacramento. And it's so important, like you said, to bring that perspective there. But also, we need to break the supermajority, because one party rule is not good for the people of California, regardless of what side that's on. There needs to be a diversity of perspectives, of voices sitting at the table, so that a reasonable solution that works for everyone can be reached. We haven't had that in a while, and it's time to bring it back. I'm very confident that the California Republican Party will start a domino effect this year that crushes the supermajority in the next election cycle. And once that happens, I think we'll see a lot of positive change in the state, fiscally beneficial for all income levels, and not just perpetuating this vast income disparity that we're seeing now.
Right. So there is Meg MC that's on Facebook that says, she's saying, repeal AB5 and let's get a voice back. Dems don't represent RSF and Poway values. So AB5 is, I think, a big issue. It's been a big issue in my community. I'm sure it's been a big issue in your community. What's your perspective on AB5?
Well, AB5 has been a huge issue that I've talked about at length since it was first introduced back in 2019. By trade, I'm an employment defense attorney. So the minute that I heard the first introduction of this bill by Assemblywoman Gonzalez, I knew it was bad news. And I've been vocally opposed to it since the beginning. I think that it is bad in what it does, but it's also bad in that it demonstrates how the Sacramento Democrats are operating. They are taking this overarching law, applying it across the board to every industry, and then lobbyists are spending money to get industry carve outs. That's not right. It's corruption and it is dishonesty at that level of government. And we need to call it out for what it is. It's not just bad for the economy, but it's bad governing and it's bad legislating.
And that seems to be so typical of Sacramento and even special interest in Sacramento. I mean, whether it's CEQA, right? If you're a big business and you can afford, to lobby and you have people representing your interest, multiple people representing your interest, seems like those needs are met. But if you're a small guy, if you're a mom and pop, store, if you're a gig worker, I mean, who's representing you? The imbalance in Sacramento is absolutely astonishing. And to talk a little bit more about the supermajority, so everybody listening understands what that means. Because I know you and we've been immersed in campaigning for a year, and I never want to forget who I am, even when I get to Sacramento, and just the real world experience and explaining how things really are working, especially in Sacramento. So in Sacramento, there are 80 assembly members elected from constituency across California. And of those 80 assembly members, only 18 are Republican. We have one person that switched to no party preference. Obviously, we lost Brian Manashane to the dark side a couple of years ago. And in order for us to be effective, we need 28 members in the state assembly, because a supermajority means that Democrats in Sacramento have ultimate power, really. They can pass any new tax, any piece of legislation, constitutional amendments. They can even veto a governor's veto or overturn a governor's veto because they have enough votes to do that. They don't need a single Republican's vote or opinion to pass legislation. And it is so imperative that if we want to be effective, we break that supermajority. So for those of you who haven't heard of June Cutter before, go to her website right now, donate $5, $10, $20, because we need to bring balance to Sacramento. The way we do that is we elect conservatives, Republicans like June, in seats that are winnable, right? So June, what is the and I'm sorry, I think you said this, but just so people realize how close this could be, what's voter registration in your district?
Well, voter registration has actually changed since I started running. When I first filed to run for this seat, it was evenly split in thirds between Democrats, Republicans, and no party preference voters. But now we are unfortunately 36.6% Democrat here. I think it has a lot to do with the presidential primary that the Democrat Party held in March. So I'm hopeful that people's views haven't changed despite the increase in Democrat Party registration. And it is, regardless of your party preference, we should want people who care about their community, not career politicians who care about themselves.
Right, because I mean, and more we're seeing in our state or even in our districts, there's this growing no party preference voter that is tired of the politics on both sides. And that is really who's deciding, having major decisions. But I think that, campaigning in a global pandemic or this pandemic, campaigning for us we've had to change and adapt to how we're campaigning. But I think the pandemic has, awoken the electorate, whether they're Democrats, no party preference, Republicans. It doesn't matter what political party you are. You may have lost your job. You're probably, if you are working, you're probably working at home with your child because schools are shut down. All of these things, it doesn't, regardless of party, are affecting our communities. How has a pandemic, one, affected your campaigning, and two, your district?
Well, I think that both you and I have had a strong digital presence since the beginning. So it was a lot easier for both of us to pivot our campaigns and go digital and use social media to our advantage. You've been doing amazing things on social media, and I've had a pretty strong presence on social media myself. And that was even before we got shut down. So I think for us, it was much easier to pivot than other campaigns. But with that said, it has completely changed the game. We didn't know how fundraising was going to go. And Democrats are fueled by special interests that weren't impacted by the pandemic, whereas Republicans are fueled by business owners who were hit the hardest by the pandemic. And we are dealing with whether should we knock on doors, should we call, should we do more advertising digitally, should we send more mail? I mean, there's all these questions out there this year. I feel like all of us are slightly feeling like the guinea pigs of the political world, because who else has ever campaigned in a pandemic? I mean, people campaigned in recessions before, and the economic outlook may have been questionable, but never have we been locked in our homes until 2020, of all the years to run for office for the first time, right?
Right.
But I'm hopeful that people are woken up, like you said. It's hard not to pay attention to what's going on in Sacramento when the governor's orders are directly impacting your life, and you wonder where your legislator is and how are they at all working for you? And I think in 77 here, it's been pretty clear that our assemblyman is not working for us. He has completely abdicated his power and handed it to Governor Newsom on a silver platter, along with his fellow members of his new party, the Democrat Party, and he's towing their line. And that's not okay, because it's hurting the people that he's supposed to be serving.
Right. So one of the most, I think, astonishing things that I think I've seen over the past year, we met a year ago, right? I've met, so many amazing people along the campaign trail, amazing women. But I've just been so inspired by our Republican leaders, Senator Shannon Grove, Minority Leader Marie Waldron, even our party chair, Jessica Patterson. I feel like the Republican comeback in California is being brought to life by Republican women, right? And it's been so inspiring to watch over the course of this past year. What's been your experience with Republican women over the last year in leadership? How can we empower women and minorities to vote Republican and run for office? What's been your experience, and what would you say to another woman that's thinking about running for office?
Well, this is actually a very important topic to me, because the California Women's Leadership Association is where I got my start in the political world, and their whole mission is to empower fiscally conservative women to run for office or take leadership roles in their community and government. And the fact that our party has 3 women in its top 3 leadership roles, the fact that our top 4 pickup assembly candidates are all women, I think it speaks volumes about where we are headed as a state party and where we are headed as a state altogether, and even at the national level, the RNC chairwoman is a woman. We are celebrating today. I have my shirt on. I'll show you. 39. That's Sandra Day O'Connor. And today is the 39th anniversary of when she was sworn into office as a Supreme Court justice, the first woman appointed by a Republican president. The Republican Party has always embraced equality and opportunity, and we get a bad rap. Mm-hmm. So I'm really excited about where we're headed as a party led by women with strong female candidates, pushing that message throughout the state, and hopefully making an impact on those women who do lie in the middle, who may be moderate and are seeing that they may be talking a big game on the left, but we put our money where our mouth is.
Amen. It's such an exciting time. I think that unfortunately, right, Democrat women had their year in 2018, and I think 2020 is a year for Republican women. It's an exciting time to be a woman and to be able to bring that perspective to Sacramento. I'm really excited about that opportunity. June, I love that, these Facebook Lives always go so quickly and we have so much to talk about. I know we could talk for hours, but what issues would you like to focus on, one? And lastly, do you have any just last words for anybody watching about, one, if you're living in San Diego and you're watching, why they should vote for June Cutter? And 2, even if you don't live in June Cutter's district, when June goes to Sacramento, while you may not be able to vote for you, for her, she can still vote for you, and she can represent your voice in California in a conservative voice. So June, go right ahead.
Well, that's a lot to unpack. What do I want people to know? Well, the issues that I think are very important on our November ballot are every single assembly race. Like you said, it doesn't matter if you can't vote in my district or Suzette's district. If you want to bring more conservative voices to Sacramento, please be our social media warriors. Please be our financial contributors. Please just, make enough noise so that our name recognition soars through the roof and we can win our seats, because every seat we pick up, whether or not you live in our district, is a win for you as a conservative Californian. And, the issues this year that are really important to me personally, especially as a native Californian of Asian American descent, is Proposition 16. And that is the repeal of the Equal Protection Clause in our California Constitution, which will be on the ballot this November. And Proposition 15, which is the split roll initiative, which undermines Proposition 13 from 1978, which protects our property tax rates, and really the core of why we can actually afford to live here. And I think that those two things are very important. Public safety is also really important to me as a mother, and education reform is one of my really big, strong passion points for going to Sacramento. I think there's so many things that are broken in our society, which people want to put a Band-Aid up the tail end of it and try to finish it or try to repair it at the finish line. But we need to talk about the starting line. And that really starts with our K through 12 education system. And we have to hold our government accountable for all the tax dollars that we send, thinking it's going to go to education, but it never really gets to our kids. And I know that you as a mom feel passionately about our next generation as well. And I really want to do everything in my power to protect them, keep them safe, and ensure that they have the opportunities to succeed so that they can build a beautiful life in our home state too.
Thank you so much, June. And where can people find you on social media, on your website? What are all the handles?
Okay, so it's June Cutter everywhere you go, except for Facebook, it's June Cutter AD77. So you can email me info@junecutter.com if you have any questions. My website is junecutter.com, and everything is linked there. And Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, you name it, LinkedIn, wherever you want to find me, just type in June Cutter.
Thanks, June. It was lovely talking with you. Good luck.
Thank you.
39 more days.
See you in person.
Thanks, June. So I hope you really enjoyed hearing from June Cutter, and everyone. I think, I don't even know, I should probably count how many Facebook Lives I've done over the course of the last year. But you all know that the reason why I'm running is for my daughter, because California is home, and I will refuse to leave. But if we stay and we fight together for the future, for my daughter, for California that brings opportunity for her, for your children, for your family, for your business, for your community. June Cutter is a great candidate that we need to support to also bring balance to Sacramento. So thanks for tuning in today. We'll be on again sometime next week with some local candidates as well. Have a great Friday and a great weekend. Thanks so much.